Red vs. Blue Season 18, Episode 3 Duo has officially released, so let me break it down for you. So the episode starts off exactly how you would expect, with almost a 4-minute fight scene. 2 fight scenes, actually, simultaneously. Quite frankly, I expect pretty much every episode from now on to start off this way. FaZe and Zero are facing off against a giant Guardian Minotaur with flaming swords, and East and One are facing off against Carolina. They're pretty much the same thing. There's not much to commentate on a fight scene as a whole. The dialogue, specifically when it comes to the villains, it just keeps getting cornier.
The power for which you sought will summon the Harbinger of Destruction and Rot.
I am no mere mortal, Guardian. Underestimate me and you'll learn I'm something more. A ghost.
Like, I don't know what to say. It's just corny. I will say I won't be shocked if by the end of all this, the Harbinger is played for jokes. Like, they get to it and it's just gonna be Santa and Caboose just hanging out. I feel like they could go down that path, but then again, they could just be like, yeah, no, what we're saying and warning about is actually the thing and it takes itself 100% seriously. I could see both servicing the type of story they're going for. The comedy route is definitely more Red versus Blue, but these aren't the Reds and the Blues, so it's very 50-50 right now. The fight scenes were good. I feel like I'm just gonna say this every episode and every time there's a fight scene because it's true. I will say though, specifically when it came to FaZe and Zero, I don't know what to tell you, it just feels too anime for Red versus Blue. You put this type of creativity and animation skill into like RWBY and I'd be like, brilliant, give them a raise. And believe me, they get pretty creative with FaZe and Zero, alright? Choreography, pretty entertaining and top notch. But I think where this feeling comes from me is that nothing's familiar. The setting, the enemy, the weapons, the teleporting, everything here is just original and its own thing. It just feels like an anime with a Halo skin on it. But like I said, this is particular when it comes to Viper Squad. They're a little too creatively free to do whatever they want. Then again, East also kind of falls into this because she essentially has a superpower. But later on when we do get to other fight scenes, it's not nearly as prevalent. So anyway, Carolina wins, thank God. But this doesn't sit too well with East. She ends up blaming One, and One ends up taking things a little too far, saying her powers are the only reason she's here to begin with. She really knows how to escalate an argument. Which of course doesn't sit well with East. Which of course leads to the "you don't know me," but fortunately it's broken up by Axel. It of course doesn't end there, as it really put East in a bad mood, and she takes it out on some target practice. Carolina goes on to apologize and attempts to put her at ease, which doesn't really work. What definitely doesn't help is West. He too tries what Carolina did, but it doesn't go quite as well since he's her father and she's still holding a grudge against the whole giving her up when she was a child thing, saying that he's not her dad. So, my man West, I feel for him. Like I said, this is a prime opportunity for father-daughter storyline, which quite frankly, I'm more interested in than the villains. East and West have my attention. Speaking of family dilemmas, FaZe, a Viper Squad, also has father issues. It seems in direct similarity to East, she hates when her father is brought up and doesn't acknowledge whoever is being referenced as her father. Wouldn't it be one hell of a thing if West was also her father? I mean, FaZe and East are both in pink armor, but that'd be awkward for West. Then probably my favorite moment so far this season, if you couldn't have guessed yet, West comes out to play. He and Raymond spot Wash still inside the facility and go to rescue him, but when in there, wouldn't you know it, the big bad blue soldier is still there. I don't know his name. And what did I say? What did I say the first episode? This unstoppable freak couldn't be touched by every weapon under the sun. But what would work? Martial arts, and that's exactly what happens. West laying in the beat down, staggering him, putting him on the back foot, also having glowing armor like them. If we're being completely honest, I was shocked West could actually fight. He was my favorite of the new crew right behind East, but he exerted such Sarge energy, I thought similarly he was more bark than he was bite. But his bite's pretty damn good. I guess we've grown so accustomed to the main cast of characters being the underdogs and useless in most regards, with a few exceptions, that it's almost jarring when it's the reverse, when pretty much everyone is capable but a few, and by a few I mean Raymond. But West is a straight beast. Tank versus tank. We saw what this man was capable of, but he's going toe to toe. Listen, I'm just saying, West is my man, and I've taken a liking to him. Anyway, Raymond manages to shoot the guy with the rocket, which seems to work this time, just long enough to extract Wash and bring him back to the base. The characters get a new ride, and then we push on to an assault Viper Squad is intending to lead. Shatter Squad planned to intercept them, which Carolina wants to go, but West refuses to allow her since she's still recovering. This all takes place at Starlight Labs. A car chase ensues, but is quickly cut short when Axel and Zero come face to face. Not for the first time, however, as we get a flashback from their past. They're fighting, of course. We don't know why, but Zero seems to have decided to take on a new path of life, and Axel tries to stop him. It inevitably leads to Zero getting shot off the edge of a cliff, presumed dead, until today. I'm actually not sure if they thought he was dead, but logic would dictate that they did. Until today. Probably the moment I really liked from this was during the fight, Zero has Axel at point blank with a gun and chooses not to shoot him. Of course, in some scenarios you can be like, what an idiot, but that's really only in cases where the character wants to kill the other. But here it was very clear that Zero didn't want to kill him. Friend, ally, we don't know. He does say, I trusted you. I like to think that it is in direct reference to him not killing him there, like, I trusted you wouldn't chase me anymore since I spared your life. Like, come on, dude. But it does show that Zero's not I'm super evil. I mean, he is super evil, but yeah, you know, he has a friend. Quite frankly, no story was gathered from this scene.
Do you fear me? They do. They fear what I'm capable of. Together, we can change it, or we can fight the true monsters.
And thus ends another meeting of the Pronoun Club. Same time next week, everybody.
We can change it all. The real monsters. It's funny how old Red vs. Blue is great at roasting new Red vs. Blue sometimes. It's just joking about overused cliches, so when it does these cliches, it's kind of funny. Anyway, are we sure one is the main character? Because I'll be real, she's like barely just above Raymond. Like everyone else seems to have so much more importance. East is the experiment, she has family problems here, and she has all of the qualities of one in the hyper-competitive attitude sphere, not liking to lose. West is tied to East and is also the leader of everyone. Axel has a past with Zero, which you would think one would have had the past with Zero, considering they're both numbers. But Axel is like the longtime vet who's familiar with their enemy. Like, this is more tied to him than anyone. Was the marketing just weird? I feel like one was being pushed and promoted as the face of the season, but she's right there with Raymond. And that's no slight to Raymond, he fulfills his goal as the quirky, fun side character best friend. But one's kind of on the same level. Like, I'll be real, I like the main cast, for the most part. One hasn't impressed me yet. Raymond's gotten a few chuckles out of me, West reminds me of a capable Sarge, and East has all the qualities I like in a character. Axel's pretty neat too. Like, I'm digging it. Don't know how long it'll last, if it's just a one-off season or whatever. Like, this is a very Project Freelancer-esque story. The bigger question is, how much are we going to be able to learn and develop everyone if the story keeps moving as fast as it is? Because I would like to learn more about Starlight Labs and the experiments and the past of these characters, but it just for whatever feels like we might not get those. On a side note, something I noticed is just weird, is the use of machinima, or should I say the lack of it. In the run-up to the season, all the clips and scenes being shown were all custom animated, and everyone was moving around freely, so people were like, hey, is there gonna be machinimation or is it all just custom? And they were like, yeah, there'll be machinima, don't worry. And from what I've noticed, they chose not to use it most of the time. Like, there's a lot of standing around and talking this episode, which is not a problem, classic Red vs. Blue. But what seems like an obvious time for the use of classic machinima, they don't and instead custom machinimate pretty much all of these scenes. They still choose to position the models as if they were in idle stance with the guns down trying to emulate it, but it looks weird. I mean, it's obvious when the hands go free and they lean and just all the stuff you can't do machinimating, but the normal talking also looks like this because we've essentially grown so accustomed to how it's supposed to look that it's easy to spot when something's wrong. Like, the characters here are talking mostly with their heads, but as we all know, the chest and head are practically one unit and mostly together in classic machinimation. So because it's only the head moving in what's trying to emulate that style, it just looks weird. I genuinely question why try to have it look like machinima. If you're gonna custom animate them, there's no need to add that machinima feel. It's not like it's a flaw or anything that takes away from the season, but I noticed it and what, am I not gonna bring it up? Anyway, the episode, like I said, was entertaining. I do like the main cast of characters for the most part. Just, is there gonna be story, character development, and lore, or just fights?